You've seen the clocks, but do you know the story behind the name? From wooden gears to Grand Central's iconic masterpiece, the rise of Seth Thomas Clock Company changed American timekeeping forever. And one detail in the company's legacy might just change how you see every clock. Eli Terry is widely regarded as a pioneer in American clockmaking, particularly for his introduction of mass production techniques. Utilizing water-powered machinery, Terry revolutionized the industry by standardizing parts, which enabled the efficient production of large quantities of clocks. These timepieces, often referred to as Connecticut clocks, became a hallmark of early American innovation, making quality clocks more accessible to the general public. In 1807, Terry secured a contract with Edward and Levi Porter to produce 4,000 wooden clock movements within 3 years. Known as the Porter Contract, this agreement was a groundbreaking moment in American industry, establishing Terry's reputation and marking one of the earliest large-scale manufacturing efforts in the United States. Despite the wooden construction, Connecticut shelf clocks were known for their reliability and durability. During this period, Terry took on and trained several apprentices, including Silas Hoadley and, most notably, Seth Thomas. Thomas not only worked under Terry, but also became a partner in his clockmaking business, which also included Hoadley. This partnership, known as Terry Thomas and Hoadley, operated until 1810, when the partners amicably dissolved the business. Seth Thomas then leveraged the skills and techniques he learned from Terry to establish the Seth Thomas Clock Company in 1813. The factory was strategically located along the Naugatuck River in Plymouth Hollow, Connecticut, leveraging its proximity to vital resources, especially water power. The nearby Naugatuck Railroad further enhanced its efficiency by facilitating the easy transport of raw materials and finished products. This well-chosen location not only supported the factory's operations, but also became a cornerstone of the community's growth and development. In the early days, Seth Thomas and his company primarily focused on producing wooden clock movements, adhering to the established tradition of American clockmaking. These clocks were mainly mantle clocks, which were highly popular in American homes. The use of wooden movements crafted from easily accessible materials made these clocks more affordable than those with brass movements. The early designs typically featured tall, rectangular cases and were celebrated for their simplicity and reliability. One of the standout designs from this era was the pillar and scroll clock, initially popularized by Eli Terry and subsequently produced by Seth Thomas. These clocks were distinguished by their ornate features, including pillars flanking the dial and a scrolled pediment on top. Wood movements were phased out in 1845, and the shift to brass movements enabled Seth Thomas to broaden their range and appeal to a more diverse market. The factory began producing an array of timepieces, including intricate mantle clocks, classic wall clocks like the Regulator series, distinctive steeple clocks, ornate parlor clocks, and precise marine clocks and chronometers. Brass movements also enabled the inclusion of striking mechanisms, allowing clocks to chime on the hour, adding both functionality and elegance to their designs. The transition to brass movements required significant retooling of the factory, along with the development of new skills and techniques. This transition was necessary to stay competitive, but was costly and complex. In 1853, at the age of 67, Seth Thomas incorporated the Seth Thomas Clock Company to ensure the longevity of his business beyond his lifetime. Following his death in 1859, the town of Plymouth Hollow was renamed Thomaston in 1875 to honor his legacy. Seth Thomas was known for his conservative approach to clockmaking, but after his passing, his sons expanded the company's offerings with many new styles. Regulator clocks were introduced in 1860, followed closely by spring-driven clocks and perpetual calendar clocks. Over the years, the company produced several popular models, including walnut kitchen clocks, marble clocks, adamantine finish wood mantle clocks featuring a patented fox marble finish, black enameled iron cased clocks, oak kitchen clocks, tambour clocks, chime clocks. Ship's clocks were introduced, and eventually electric clocks, which made their debut in 1928. The company was also renowned for its iconic tower clocks, with approximately 3,000 installed across the country, including the famous clock in New York City's Grand Central Terminal. Known as the Grand Central Clock, this iconic timepiece, built in 1913, sits atop the information booth in the terminal's main concourse. It features a distinctive four-faced brass casing with opalescent glass faces. Still running today, the clock has become a symbol of the terminal and a cherished landmark in New York City. The Seth Thomas Clock Company remained under family control until 1915, when it was sold to a group of investors. These investors continued to operate the company under the Seth Thomas name. In 1930, the stockholders of the Seth Thomas Clock Company and the Western Clock Company of Illinois, the makers of West clocks, approved a merger. This merger was executed through the creation of a holding company, General Time Instruments Corporation. Going forward, Seth Thomas operated as the Seth Thomas division of General Time Corporation. Throughout its long history, the company navigated several significant challenges. Competition intensified with the emergence of rivals like Waltham and Ingraham, and later, Swiss and Japanese clockmakers added even more pressure. During World War II, the company shifted its production to support the war effort. Yet, despite these obstacles, the company persisted and remained a prominent player in the clockmaking industry. In 1955, a catastrophic flood struck the Naugatuck River Valley in Connecticut, caused by the remnants of the hurricanes Connie and Diane, and severe damage was inflicted upon the Seth Thomas factory. As a result, the company gradually phased out its in-house movement manufacturing and began sourcing many of its movements from Germany. Among the suppliers, Hermel, located in the Black Forest of Germany, became a significant producer of movements for Seth Thomas clocks. By the mid-20th century, the market for traditional mechanical clocks was shrinking. The rise of quartz technology, referred to as the quartz crisis, drastically reduced demand. In 1968, General Time was acquired, securing enough shareholder votes by Tally Industries, a diversified conglomerate operating in multiple sectors. In 1978, Franz G. Tally, the founder and namesake of Tally Industries, passed away from a heart attack. The following year, in 1979, the company's headquarters were relocated to Norcross, Georgia. In 1982, Thomaston residents were taken by surprise when Tally Industries announced the relocation of operations from the Seth Thomas factory in Connecticut to Athens, Georgia, where it would merge with the West Clocks facility. The following year, in 1983, the Seth Thomas Clock Factory in Thomaston officially closed its doors. In the late 1980s, Tally Industries embarked on extensive restructuring efforts that extended into the early 2000s, adversely impacting their brands. General Time struggled to compete with the influx of inexpensive, mass-produced quartz clocks from overseas. This culminated in the announcement in June 2001 that General Time would be shutting down its entire operation. Following this, the Colibri Group, a consumer products distributor, acquired the Seth Thomas brand rights and inventory, but did not purchase either the company or manufacturing facility. Its assets were eventually sold. However, the company faced challenges in integrating and capitalizing on the acquired rights, and in January 2009, the Colibri Group unexpectedly closed its doors, resulting in the layoff of 280 employees. The Colibri Group restructured as CST Enterprises, who currently retains the rights to the Seth Thomas name. The Seth Thomas Clock Company's legacy is one of lasting influence, shaping the clockmaking industry and leaving a significant imprint on American history. From its origins in Plymouth Hollow to the renaming of the town, the city continues to carry the Seth Thomas name to this day. Currently, the original Seth Thomas Clock Factory site is known as the Seth Thomas Industry Park, home to several businesses including the Clocktown Brewing Company, serving craft beer, cocktails, and freshly prepared food. Here's to Seth Thomas. Cheers.